Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Week 13 recap show. This week, we had offensive explosions, some huge performances from star players, and playoff-deciding victories. We'll jump into all of that in a moment, but before we do, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our upcoming content here on YouTube. And if you stick around to the end of the video, we'll let you know how you can become involved in one of our upcoming shows. Make sure you do that, and let's dive on in to What's in the Box.
What's in the box?
Our Week 13 ONIT recap box features our locally sourced but nationally relevant headlines for all of our ONIT teams as we tell you how they performed over the course of the weekend. Then we'll take a look at who made the grade Gravity Edition. We'll be covering some players who will be featured in ONIT Gravity. And lastly, we'll take a look ahead at Rivalry Week. Week 14 is coming up. We'll tell you what games we're looking forward to here at ONIT HQ. Let's begin by talking about our ONIT versus ONIT match. Penn State with a dominating performance at home there at Beaver Stadium. A 37-10 win over Nebraska. As Penn State picks up their 5th win of the season, they improved to 5-6, 2-6 in the Big Ten. It's back-to-back wins for the Nittany Lions, while Nebraska falls to 7-4, 4-4 in Big Ten play. This was a game that was dominated by Penn State from the start. Outscored Nebraska in the first half by a wide margin, 23-3 going into halftime in this contest. And then Penn State just continued to pour on. A touchdown in the third, a touchdown in the fourth, as they managed to pull away even further from the Cornhuskers as they already did in that first half. The night was for Katron Allen, 25 carries, 160 yards, and 2 touchdowns as he becomes Penn State's all-time career rushing leader. Just an incredible season from Katron Allen. We mentioned it on Thursday. He has now surpassed 1,000 yards on the ground this season with the game still to go left in the regular season for Penn State against Rutgers. And if they win that game, they will be going bowling. For Nebraska, TJ Lateef tried to do what he could, 21-37 through the air, 187 yards, no touchdowns, and no interceptions. Just one score in this game came from Lateef on the ground. Emmett Johnson was bottled up to the tune of 103 yards on 19 carries. For Emmett Johnson, that is technically being bottled up. He's one of the best running backs in the country. No touchdowns for him, average still 5.4 yards per tote. He is an elite running back. Really excited to see the things he does next year. But for Nebraska, again, just disappointing way to end this season. Of course, losing Dylan Raiola to the leg injury has really changed the trajectory of their season, but they still will be going to a bowl game. While Penn State is in must-win mode going into Week 14, they'll have Rutgers if they can take down the Scarlet Knights. The Nittany Lions will be going bowling this year. I know it's a far cry from what their expectations were at the beginning of the season, but if they can manage to sneak back into a bowl game after starting the season 0-6 in the Big Ten, I think they'd be pretty happy with that. Iowa State managing to defeat Kansas in a battle in Ames. 38-14 the final score as the Cyclones improved to 7-4 and 4-4 in the Big 12. Kansas falls to 5-6, 3-5 in Big 12 play. This game was all Iowa State to begin the first half. They went up 17-0 going into halftime. Kansas could not muster much on the offensive side of the ball. But then the third quarter came around. Kansas, with a 4-play scoring drive, gets the ball back after an Iowa State touchdown, then goes on another 4-play scoring drive. Took them 8 plays to score 14 points. But that was it for Kansas. Couldn't do anything else on the offensive side in this ball game. Rocco Beck played a great game for Iowa State, 18 of 23 passing, 3 touchdowns, and 241 yards through the air as he was slinging the ball. Started the game off 9 for 9 on the completion front. And then Carson Hansen, a great game for him, 22 carries, 120 yards, and a touchdown. It's the 4th straight game where Hansen has gone over 100 yards on the ground. The first Cyclone to do that since Breece Hall did it for Iowa State. So Iowa State secures their bowl eligibility. They already had it with the 6 wins. They make sure that they'll be going bowling with the 7th, while Kansas is going to need a win to close out the season in Week 14 if they want to pick up a spot in a bowl game. Wow, what a performance from Tennessee. Dominated the first half and then cruised to victory in a 31-11 win over the Florida Gators. Tennessee goes to 8-3, 4-3 in the SEC, and they keep their playoff hopes alive with the victory, winning in the Swamp for the first time in over 20 years. For Florida, they fall to 3-8, 2-6 in the SEC. This was a lopsided game that began with Tennessee scoring on their first 4 drives of the game. They go up 31-0 with a field goal before the half, and from there they just coasted to victory. Aguilar, 17 of 22, 204 yards passing and a touchdown in this game. Deshaun Bishop, 24 carries, 116 yards, and 2 scores on the ground. Tennessee was able to do really whatever they wanted in the first half, took the pedal off the gas in the second half because Florida was just incapable of moving the ball for sustained periods at a time. Tennessee kept getting the ball back and just kind of trying to run the clock and get out of Gainesville with this victory. DJ Lagway, just 11 of 17 for 116 yards, did throw a touchdown. Jaden Baugh, 18 carries, 96 yards, 5.3 yards on the ground. The Florida rushing attack was working, but for Florida, just, again, not able to sustain enough drives for whatever reason, whether it was penalties, whether it was incomplete passes. They just weren't able to play a cohesive game, and Tennessee blitzed them at the start and was able to walk out with the victory. So like I said, Tennessee, the playoff hopes are alive. Can the Volunteers make it into the playoff? They'll need some help in front of them, but this win definitely helps them out. Not much defense to talk about in this ball game as Texas wins it 52-37 over Arkansas. The Longhorns improved to 8-3, 5-2 in the SEC as they keep their playoff hopes alive with a win going into their final game of the regular season against Texas A&M. In this game, the Longhorns got their best performance of the season from Arch Manning. He threw for 4 touchdowns, ran for a touchdown, and even caught a touchdown that Parker Livingston threw to him. Livingston throwing a touchdown pass, also caught a touchdown pass. He had 2 catches for 104 yards and a long bomb score in the contest. While on the other side for Arkansas, Mike Washington Jr. had a very nice game, 17 carries for 105 yards and a touchdown. Taylor Green ended up leaving this ball game, but KJ Jackson played well in relief, played only in the second half, still threw for 206 yards and a touchdown, averaged 7.1 yards per completion. So a very nice job by Jackson to step in here for the injured Green and make some stuff happen for Arkansas. But at the end of the day, not enough stops for the Razorbacks. Texas also scored their first defensive touchdown of the season. Leona Loftu getting into the end zone on a scoop and score off a strip sack from Colin Simmons helped Texas extend their lead as they outscored Arkansas 28-17 in the second half after the two teams could not be stopped from scoring in the first half. Arkansas put up 20, Texas put up 24 in the first half. It continued on in the third quarter where Texas put up 21 in the third quarter, but Arkansas could only muster 3. That third quarter really ended up being the difference in this contest. Texas goes into a huge make-or-break game against Texas A&M at home next weekend, while Arkansas is still looking for that signature win under their interim head coach, Bobby Petrina. Well, our game of the week was for those that like defense. 17-6, Oklahoma takes down Missouri. The Sooners improved to 9-2, 5-2 in the SEC, while Missouri falls to 7-4, 3-4 in the SEC. This was a fun one. Like I said, if you love defense, this was the game for you. Bo Pribula returning for Missouri just a couple of weeks after he suffered an ankle injury against Vanderbilt. It was amazing to see him get back on the field in this game. But at the end of the day, that Oklahoma defense is fearsome. Shut down all the running lanes for Ahmad Hardy, picked off Bo Pribula as the Tigers turned it over twice, and Oklahoma has basically secured their playoff chances with this big win in Norman. Just one more game left for the Sooners, while for Missouri, they have effectively been knocked out of the playoff talk. If they would have got this win, that would have opened the door wide open for them. But as it was, the game finished with John Mateer throwing for 173 yards and 2 touchdowns. The accuracy, once again, a little bit spotty for Mateer, but it did not matter. He also ended up being Oklahoma's leading rusher, 18 carries, 460 yards in this game. Hit Sintanga for a long touchdown that helped put Oklahoma up in the second quarter, when Oklahoma scored 14 points. Both touchdowns came basically back-to-back for the Sooners, and that's how they were able to draw some distance between themselves and the Tigers. Bubila finishes the day 20 for 36, 231 yards, 2 interceptions. Hardy, 17 carries, 57 yards. A very far cry from his 25 carries for 300 yards a week ago, as once again, that Oklahoma defense, even without R. Mason Thomas, managed to stop Missouri from effectively moving the ball all day long. Be fun to see Oklahoma and what they do in the last week of the season and then heading forward into the playoff, while Missouri will look to finish their regular season off with a victory before they go bowling. Here's how the weekend went for the rest of our ONIT squads. Number 1, Ohio State cruising to a victory over Rutgers, 42-9, the final score. No Carnell Tate, no Jeremiah Smith, no problem for the Buckeyes, who came out after a close first half, and in the second half, touchdown drive, touchdown drive, touchdown drive, touchdown drive, touchdown drive. Ohio State pulling away in the second half. And in the first half, Texas A&M was able to pull away from Samford, 48-0. The victory. Marcel Reed tossed 3 touchdown passes and then quickly exited the game as Texas A&M made short work of Samford here on this weekend. We also saw a dominating performance from Alabama as they destroyed Eastern Illinois 56-0. They scored 8 rushing touchdowns in this game, did the Crimson Tide, as they keep their playoff hopes alive going into a huge Iron Bowl against Auburn. And for USC, playoff hopes more than likely dashed, losing on the road to the Oregon Ducks in Autzen. 42-27, Mekhi Lemon did everything he could for the Trojans, caught 2 touchdown passes, threw for another score, but at the end of the day, not enough for USC to beat Oregon, and now they're on the outside looking in for the playoffs. Michigan went into their contest against Maryland without Justice Haynes or Jordan Marshall. They still managed to pull out an impressive victory, 45-20, over Maryland, as the Wolverines got 2 touchdown passes from Bryce Underwood in this contest to help them take down the Terrapins. Nice game overall for Michigan, and it sets up a huge matchup next weekend, of course, against the Ohio State University. And for Arizona State, a 42-17 win on the road in Boulder against the Buffaloes will keep them in the college football playoff rankings and keep their hopes for playing in a Big 12 championship game alive. Jeff Sims with 2 passing touchdowns in this contest. Rayleigh Brown with 255 yards on the ground on 22 carries. Kanye Udo got into the end zone as well, 9 carries for 62 for him, and the Sun Devils with a big-time victory over the Buffs. Boise State got their offense back on track with a 49-21 win over Colorado State. The Broncos were helped out by the defensive play of Jeremiah Irby, who had 2 interceptions and a fumble recovery in this game. That set the offense up with some short fields, and for a Boise State team that only scored 7 points last time out, they bounced back and now still have a shot to make the Mountain West Championship game, while Florida State lost in heartbreaking fashion to North Carolina State, 21-11 the final score, as Florida State muffed 2 punts in the fourth quarter to end up giving the ball back to North Carolina State in crucial moments, including one of the craziest plays I've ever seen, where the punt hit a Florida State defender in the helmet and then rolled all the way back to the line of scrimmage, where the punter recovered the muff, and then there was another muff later on that led to a touchdown just 4 plays later. That's what cost Florida State in this ball game as they lose by 10. Kansas State suffered a heartbreaking loss on the road at Utah, one of the toughest places to play in the country west of the Mississippi, and Kansas State nearly went in there and upset the number 12 Utes, but as it was, it's a 51-47 loss. Joe Jackson was phenomenal for K-State in this ball game. We'll talk more about him later when it comes to making the grade, but 312 all-purpose yards, 3 touchdowns, and still K-State unable to get it done in the loss as they tried to pull the upset over Utah. And LSU squeaking out a win over Western Kentucky. The Hilltoppers came into this game 8-2 on the season, and LSU saw why it was a battle all the way down to the final minutes, but LSU pulls out the 13-10 victory over Western Kentucky at home. Oklahoma State found themselves unable to win on the road. They were so close to getting their first Big 12 win at UCF, but they fall 17-14 Had 2 touchdowns in the first half, scored a touchdown in the first quarter and a touchdown in the second quarter. Also had 2 interceptions, but unable to score in the second half as Oklahoma State saw their lead slowly slip away and ended up losing on a last-minute field goal to UCF. South Carolina didn't have that problem. 51-7, the win at home over Coastal Carolina. Lenore Sellers played out of his mind in this game. Threw for over 200 yards and 2 scores, rushed for more than 70 yards and 2 scores. A 4-touchdown day for Lenore Sellers before he was removed from this ball game in the win for the Gamecocks. Washington came out with an offensive explosion as usual, 48-14, as Damon Williams got the Huskies into the end zone 4 times. He passed for 2 scores and added 2 on the ground as the Huskies routed UCLA in the Rose Bowl. For Washington, they now go into a big-time matchup to end the season against their rival Oregon in Week 14. That's how our ONIT teams performed. Let's take a look at who made the grade on this ONIT Gravity edition of Making the Grade. It's time to make the grade, where we tell you about the players who had the best performances over the weekend. This is a special Gravity edition of Making the Grade. We'll have at least 1 Gravity card at each of our 3 levels. And once you get your hands on Gravity, make sure you use the hashtag ONITGravity to post your hits, and we will help share them with the rest of the community. So you can tag us with the hashtag ONITGravity on your best pulls, or you can submit them to our link in the description. But let's begin. Starting off with the first of our near mint 8, let's talk about Makai Lemon for USC. Yes, he is back on the list here as he accounted for 3 of USC's 4 touchdowns in their loss to Oregon. He threw 1 pass for a 24-yard touchdown, and then he caught 7 passes for only 34 yards, but he scored twice on those 7 catches. So Makai Lemon, 3 touchdowns on the day in a loss to Oregon, who had the number 1 pass defense in the country coming into this game. Makai Lemon tearing them up. That is why he earns a near mint 8. And another near mint 8, Katron Allen from Penn State on his Galaxy signature card on a night where he broke the Penn State career rushing record on senior night for the Nittany Lions. He had 25 carries for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns in the win over Nebraska. And again, he broke the career rushing record for Penn State, more than 3,900 yards for Katron Allen in his Penn State career. That is why he earns himself a near mint 8. Moving on to our 9s, let's talk about on the defensive side of the ball, Caden Curry for The Ohio State University. We love NIL for all here at ONIT. Curry, no exception, 6 tackles, 4 solo, 2 sacks, including a strip sack, fumble recovery. I still think he got into the end zone. They marked him half a yard short, but I think he was there. He looked like a break dancer, flipping over the quarterback, trying to fly into the end zone. He earns a near mint 9 as he just missed out on the trifecta with the strip sack and the fumble recovery. And our other 9 is Lenoris Sellers on a Galaxy insert here from ONIT Gravity. What a game for Sellers as he finishes as South Carolina's both leading rusher and passer. And he only played in 3 quarters of this ball game. He went 16 of 20 through the air for 274 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Then on the ground, 8 carries, 82 yards, 2 scores as well. He was South Carolina's leading passer and leading rusher. That is definitely deserving of a near mint 9 grade. There can only be 1 10 though. You know how it goes, folks. And it's, of course, going to be an ONIT Gravity card. Like I said, if you pull any of these cards that you've seen here in Making the Grade, hit us up on socials at that hashtag ONITGravity. But our 10 is Joe Jackson of the Kansas State Wildcats. 24 carries, 293 yards, 3 scores in a losing effort. He did everything he could to put the Wildcats on his back, and in the process, he actually broke Darren Sproles' single-game rushing record for Kansas State with the 293 yards. He added in 1 catch for 19 yards as well, finishing his day with 312 all-purpose yards and the 3 touchdowns. So even though Kansas State wasn't able to upset Utah, Joe Jackson still played his way into a Gem Mint 10. Here is the look ahead to Week 14. It's rivalry week, and boy, do we have some big-time games. Hard to pick one that is your favorite. Ohio State at Michigan, Texas A&M at Texas, LSU at Oklahoma, Florida State at Florida. All these games come with very high stakes. You got games like Vanderbilt at Tennessee, the battle between Nashville and Knoxville, Alabama at Auburn for the Iron Bowl. Hard to pick just one contest. So let us know down in the comments what game you think should be the game of the week. I'm going to go out on a limb here. It's not really out on a limb, but I'm going to say Ohio State at Michigan is going to be the game of the week. It's the game. Everybody knows it. There is massive playoff implications on the line for Michigan. That's going to be my pick for game of the week. But tell me down in the comments below what game you think should be game of the week. That's all the time we have on today's episode. Appreciate you tuning in. And if you made it this far, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. We appreciate you watching the content and hope that you follow us so you don't miss any of our upcoming shows. Gravity is coming just around the corner as well, and you can tag us on social media, hashtag ONITGravity, if you get some big polls on release day or anytime after that. We'd love to share them off with the community. You can also submit your hits to the link down below. It's in the description for you as well. So those are the 2 ways that you can get in touch with us to share your big hits, whether they come out of hobby boxes, blaster boxes, on a breaking stream, or through ONIT official Whatnot or TikTok channels. We'd love to hear from you, so use that hashtag ONITGravity or drop your hits in the link in the description, and we will share them with the community. Looking forward to a great Week 14 rivalry week. We're back on Monday with the AP poll reaction. We'll have a ton of Gravity content coming out this week right here on the YouTube channel and our social media pages. And we will see you on Thursday for a full Week 14 preview with Black Friday football and then Saturday rivalries coming as well. Looking forward to it. Can't wait. Thanks everybody for watching, and have a great rest of your day.